Hello everyone, welcome to the video lecture series of Python for Data Science. I am your instructor, Miss Alparupala. So today we are going to learn about the topics. First one, that is hashing. Second topic, that is benchmarking with timeit module. Third topic, working with hashing vectorizer and count vectorizer. So let us just go to programming. So the topic, first one, is hashing. So what is the hash function? So basically we are using the hashing method as a data structure method, which is the main method for searching an element from our available data set. So this is a very good method for searching, in which we are collecting our data and then after we are assigning our data a particular index value according to the hash function applied on it. So this is the similar kind of, we are having the default hash function available in Python. So basically what is the Python hash function is doing? It is a built-in function and returns the hash value of an object. It is hash1. So the hash value can be in an integer value. What are the two properties of a hash function? So there are two properties basically. The first one is object hashed using the hash function are irreversible. That means we are applying the hash function and we are getting the hashed value. Now if we again apply on that hashed value, we cannot get the original data back. So this is the irreversible property. Second one is hash function returns hashed value only for immutable objects. So on mutable object it will give error. It can apply hashing only on an immutable object. So let us just apply the hash on different data types. So first we are applying the hash on an integer data type, which is returning us the same value. This is also a kind of property of a hash function. If we are applying the hash function on an integer value, then it will be given as it is, hashed as it is. Next one is hash function on float value. So it is returning us the hashed value, which is the integer sequence number. Now next one is hashed value with the string object. So here we are passing the string object, that is Python with the capital P, and it is returning us the negative value. So the value can be negative, but if you want to have the positive value, so we can apply the ABS function, that is absolute function. So I am applying the absolute function and dividing it by 1000. So we are getting the normal digit value, which is rounded up, not this whole number. Now next one is we are applying the hash on a tuple data type. So this is also been written. But if we apply the hash on the object, which is what, list object, then it will give the error, because it is what kind of object? List is a mutable object, but it cannot be applied on a mutable object. So that's why it will give the error. So the next topic is benchmarking with timeit module. So basically what is the timeit module? So this particular module will calculate the time the Python shell is taking for running a particular code. So the timeit module we can use by two methods. First method is timeit module import method, and second method is using the magic function. So the first method is, for this method we need to import the timeit module. So how we can run that method? So suppose for that we are using this particular example in which we are importing our timeit method using the import statement, import timeit. Then we have created one definition, def taste of n, which is returning us the sum of range of n. So whatever number of n we are applying over here, it will return the sum of that. Suppose our n value is 20. Now we are applying the timeit from the timeit module timeit method on the function, that is the taste function, and the n is value 20. Now we are applying this function 100 times, which is provided by the attribute value, that is number is equals to 100. So basically this will calculate that if we are running this particular code 100 times, that what amount of time it will take, that it is that is having in an output. So this much amount of time it will require for running this particular code, that is the time it module. Now this one is using the time it module method, but second one is using the magic function. So we are having two type of magic function. First one is line magic function, second one is cell magic function. So firstly we are using the line magic function. So for that we are using the percentage time it, but we don't need to import in this method because it is what a magic function. So modulo time it, or sorry, percentage time it, and then after we are applying what our list comprehension. So in which we are applying for number in a range of 20. So one by one we are picking the 0, 1, 2, 3 up to 19, and that we are storing in a list. That is our task. And for that we are applying the time it function. So let us just first run this code, and then after we will understand that what the output is representing. So it will take some amount of time if you are having not that much of good processor. And what it is doing actually. So this is the output in which we can see that 1.31 microsecond plus or minus 226 nanosecond per loop. Now this is represented over here. What is this plus or minus above and before and after value? So this is the mean value and this is the standard deviation of it. So this particular code we are running 7 runs and 1 million loop of time. So this code will be run 1 million of time once, 1 million of time twos, 1 million of time 3 times, 1 million of time 4 times, and up to 7 times. So ultimately it will be running totally 7 million times. So that's why after running this particular code 7 million times, what will be the actual processing time that will be returned by the time it module. Now this run and loop we can alter by ourselves. How we can alter it by ourselves? So for that we can use this special code format. So in which percentage time it dash r that will be for runs and dash n that will be for number of time loops. So dash 7 dash r 7 that means 7 runs, and dash n 100 that means 100 loops. So now we are reducing our previous loop. So this is the time return for that. Now suppose we are using the cell magic function. So in this cell magic function it is returning it is having what, 2 percentage symbol. So percentage time it. The line magic function can only be applied on a single line, but cell magic function will be applied on a whole cell. So this particular code we are running 2 loops and 2 runs. We are running it for the 2 runs and 2 loops. So total how many times this code will be running? 4 times. So for I in a range of 5, print I. That means we are printing 0 to 4 4 times. So 0 to 4, 0 to 4, 0 to 4 and 0 to 4. 4 times it is running and it is having the value that is for this much of amount of time it will run. And this is the another example of just percentage time it run. Obviously it is taking too much time because we have applied 10 raised to 6 value in a range. Okay, so it will take some time. So this is the amount of time it required for running the code. Now next one is, or next topic is working with hashing vectorizer and count vectorizer. So first of all we are learning about the count vectorizer first. So this is the count vectorizer in which first of all we are importing our module, that is scikit-learn, sklearn. So sklearn dot features underscore extraction dot text class, and we are importing count vectorizer class from the text text class. So we are just taking the corpus of our document, in which this is the document 1, this will be the document 2, this will be the document 3, and this will be the document 4. According to a singular line it will be taken as a document. Now we are using constructor of our count vectorizer that we are storing in a C vectorizer object. Now we are using fit underscore transform method of the count vectorizer. which ultimately return us the matrix with the first row will be all the document index. This will have the document index 0, this will have the document index 1, this will have the document index 2, and this will have the document index 3. And secondly, it will have the vocabulary value. Now this C vectorizer vocabulary we can see by the attribute named as C vectorizer dot vocabulary underscore. And this X is a whole our matrix, and this shape will return us the number of rows and number of columns of it. So let us just first see the output, that what will be in a vocabulary. Okay, so you can see that here it is, we are having the vocabulary in which all the unique words are given as the key of a dictionary, and the value will be given as the priority or index value of that particular word. So the end, according to the alphabetically, it will start with the A. Okay, so A to Z. So this end is having the index value 0. Then after this D, document is having the index value 1. Then first is having the index value 2, and so on. So according to this, we can see that this word, so this word is having the index value 4. So for the 0th document and word index 4, it is having the frequency count 1 in that particular document. So same as if we look for this one, that is the 1 1. Okay, so what is this 1? 0 and 1. So this document we are talking about. Okay, what is the index value of one word is document. So the document is present 2 times in this document index number 1. So this 1 1 is having the frequency count as 2. So ultimately the count vectorizer is returning us the frequency count of a particular word in a particular document in a matrix format. So this is our representation of X, this is our representation of vocabulary, and this is the output of our shape. Total number of word and total number of document. Now same way we can do this fundamental using the hashing vectorizer. Obviously we know that the hashing vectorizer will use the hash function. So ultimately the hash function is also having the value stored of each and every string data as a hashed value. So the output of this will also be what, a hash value. Now what is the difference between hashing vectorizer and count vectorizer? So ultimately your count vectorizer can store the vocabulary, but the hashing vectorizer is not storing any vocabulary. So let us just run this code first. So this from scikit-learn.feature_extraction.text import hashing vectorizer. This is our corpus of document. Now in here, first of all, we are just removing these arguments. Okay, so we are performing very default constructor of hashing vectorizer, and that we are storing in vectorizer object, and we are using the fit underscore transform of corpus, and that we are storing in a X, and we are printing X and a X the shape. So let us just run this code. Okay, so we can see that we are having the 0th index value, that is the document number 0, document number 1, document number 2, document number 3. Okay, so this all are the documents, and this all are the what, our values. So this all values is something kind of not frequency, right? We can see that the all values are in a floating point value, but obviously if we want a frequency count, that it must be in a normalized form, in a proper integer form, right? So how we can check for the integer form? So for that we are using this attributes. So first of all, we are storing our data in a hashing vector, and a hashing vector will have the hashed table, right? So the hash table value will have the default size, that is 2 raised to 20. Okay, hash value is having default value, that is 2 raised to 20. But suppose we are reducing the hash table value by 2 raised to 10. Next one is normal. So this particular value is normalized value, which we are looking at this output. Okay, if we don't want to have any normalized value, then we can identify, or we can assign the value of norm attribute is equals to none. and alternate sign, that means here some value is positive, some value is negative, but if we want a frequency count, then it always be the positive value. So we are using the alternate underscore sign is equals to false. So after using these all attributes, our output will be somewhat of similar to your output of count vectorizer. So we can see that this is the this value and this is also having the this value. So the key value of both the word is same. Okay, even here the key value of both the word is same, and this is what our document value. In a index value 1, document value 1, it is having frequency count 2. So it is having somewhat similar to what your count vectorizer. So this is the n underscore feature. This is the norm. Norm is by default having the value L2. Okay, it can have the L1 and L2 value, and it can have the none value. So we are using none, that we don't want to normalize our value. We want to have the uh, integer value itself. So this was about the hashing vectorizer and count vectorizer. So we had learned hash function, then after benchmarking with the time it, and then after the hashing vectorizer and count vectorizer.